Alright, I'm here to make a quick video to address the most common problem that I see on YouTube. I see in general questions that are being asked, which is, my doctor is taking me off my benzodiazepine, or my doctor has suddenly switched me from Xanax to another benzodiazepine. What do I do? I'm not okay, or I know I can't handle this. What do I do? First of all, I just want to give you a little bit of background information so you know what I'm talking about, so you have the information that you need to make the decisions that are best for you. And then I'm going to give you hopefully a course of action that you can do right now to help yourself, because suddenly being taken off of a benzodiazepine is a dangerous situation to be in, and I've witnessed the effects of that over and over again, and I don't want that to happen to you. So first of all, for people who are on Xanax has become the bad guy. It's the bad benzo right now. Back in the day, Valium was the bad benzo. It was the new wonder drug for a while, just like Xanax was. And it was mother's little helper, and then all of a sudden all these people couldn't get off Valium. They're having issues, and soccer moms were going to Betty Ford. So Valium became the bad guy, and the pharmaceutical companies came out with all of these new wonder drugs, these safe benzos that were shorter acting, that were supposed to be less harmful, like Xanax. So out comes Xanax, and Xanax lends itself really easily to addiction, unfortunately, because it's the shortest acting benzo, so it packs the most punch, and so people abuse it. So then they came out with Klonopin and Ativan and all of these good benzos. But I'm here to tell you right now, if your doctor has switched you from Xanax to another benzodiazepine, I don't want you to think that you're safe because you're taking another benzodiazepine. Doctors are also taking people off of these other benzos because in general, the medical profession is getting in trouble for overprescribing controlled substances like opiates, like benzodiazepines. We have an opiate epidemic going on, and benzodiazepines are involved in 30% of the deaths that are occurring with opiate overdoses. So doctors are getting in trouble, and unfortunately, you're paying for their mistakes. So even though you've been prescribed this drug for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, your doctor is going to expect you to get off of it in 1 to 4 weeks. At some point, nobody is going to be able to stay on a benzo forever. That just is so rare that that happens. So even if you're still taking a benzodiazepine right now, I hope that this is a light bulb moment for you that is going off, and that you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe now is the time to get off of my benzodiazepine, because it is. Because at some point, somebody's going to decide that they don't want to prescribe it to you anymore, and then you won't have any control over the situation. Right now is a time where you do have control. So please continue watching and learn about what you need to do. For those of you who your doctor has said, I'm not prescribing you anymore, and you've tried to get off and you know you can't get off in the time frame allotted, again, it's insanity to think that a drug that changes your body so drastically that you can have a seizure when you stop taking it, that somehow your body's going to adjust to not taking it in 4 weeks. That's just not going to happen. Maybe there are some people who have won the genetic lottery and they can handle it, but for the majority of people out there, that's not going to happen. So if you're one of those people, the first thing that you need to do is get educated. You're going to go to a website called benzo.org.uk. You're going to find the Ashton manual on there. And this is something that you can print off for free. You can take it to your doctor. There's also another resource. It's called benzoinfo.com. This is a nonprofit with a medical advisory board. This is something legit that you can take to your doctor and show. And the nonprofit, the Benzodiazepine Information Coalition, recommends the Ashton taper. That is what is recommended. So try and take this in and educate your current doctor if you can. And when you go into your doctor, don't go in by yourself. That is one important thing that I have learned. You've got to take an advocate with you. Take a spouse, take a parent, take someone maybe who is in the medical profession, a close friend who can go with you and help to advocate for you. Because unfortunately, even though you may not be abusing these drugs, you're going to get lumped in with people who are addicts. If you say, I can't get off this drug in the time frame you've given me, you're just going to be lumped in as an addict, and you're not going to be taken seriously, and their ears are going to drop. They're not going to listen to you. So number 1, educate yourself. Number 2, take in an advocate. Number 3, attempt to educate your doctor. If your doctor is just dead set, maybe he's been red flagged by the DEA for overprescribing controlled substances. It's happened to my doctor. Find a new doctor. That's the next one. Find a new doctor. You don't have to be prescribed a benzodiazepine by your current psychiatrist or your current GP. Anybody with a prescription pad can prescribe you a benzodiazepine. So you can find a physician's assistant. You can go to a nurse practitioner. You can go to your OBGYN. Anybody who you think is more open-minded, more reasonable, maybe a younger doctor who is a little bit more aware about the harms of these drugs, I find tend to be more open-minded. And the hard part is that the ASHA manual and what is recommended is a Valium taper. Remember the bad guy, Valium? That's what's recommended because Valium is a far less potent benzodiazepine. Just to give you an idea, 1 milligram of Xanax or Klonopin is 20 times more potent than Valium. So a 10 milligram pill of Valium is that's the highest dose that they can prescribe you. That's the biggest pill. And 1 milligram of Klonopin is equivalent to 20 milligrams of that Valium. So these are super potent drugs that we're talking about here, and they're every bit as dangerous as Valium. A benzo is a benzo, and they're all bad. I mean, Klonopin was involved in at least 4 deaths over the past year that were in the news because people were suddenly, their medical providers suddenly decided to stop giving them Klonopin, and they died. There's no such thing as a good benzo. So if you can hopefully speak to a medical professional and reason with them and show them benzoinfo.com, show them the information that is there. Most doctors want to help you. They just don't know how, and you can show them that way. Now, if you are just at a loss and you cannot find a doctor who is willing to do a Valium taper at all because in their mind, for whatever reason, Valium is still the bad guy, you can still taper using your shorter acting benzodiazepine like Ativan and Klonopin. Hopefully, make sure first of all that they switch you over to the equivalent amount. Most doctors are pretty good at this, but I have seen plenty of cases where doctors do not understand equivalencies for whatever reason. If you are on 0.5 milligram of Xanax, you should be taking 1 milligram of Ativan. That is the equivalent amount to 0.5 milligram of Xanax. If you're switched over to Klonopin, it would be 0.5 milligram of Klonopin, so that's pretty straightforward there. Okay, moving on. If you have to taper using your current medication, you can watch my video. I make a whole video about this. I made it when I was still tapering myself. It's very comprehensive on how to use your shorter acting benzodiazepine and break it up using a method called titration, water titration, liquid titration. You can also maybe even get a liquid compound of that. I go over all of that in my video. It's a great resource, so please watch that before you attempt to taper or do anything. Don't start tapering until you have all the information, until you have a doctor who is willing to work with you, until you have your advocate. And that's the next thing that you need. You need resources. You need that support. Before you even start, you need it in place. You need your family to understand. And they need to understand, number one, this is not addiction. You don't want to go there. You don't even want to use the word withdrawal. And I'm completely serious here. When you're discussing this with your family, do not say that you are dependent or addicted. Don't say that you're going through withdrawal. You need to use the right language to help you help other people help you. The kind of language that I have found to be most helpful during this is to say, I had a neurotoxic reaction to my benzodiazepine. I have central nervous system damage. I have brain damage from being prescribed a benzodiazepine on a daily basis. And that is absolutely true. You are not stretching the truth at all by saying that, because what benzodiazepines do is they affect GABA receptors. which are located throughout your entire central nervous system. They're in your brain, they're throughout your whole body, and they affect everything. And the symptoms that you experience as you try to get off these drugs are the symptoms of a central nervous system that has been damaged. And for those of you who are unfortunate enough to experience the severity of the worst kinds of benzodiazepine withdrawal symptoms, you will know what I'm talking about when I say brain damage. You will experience memory loss. You will experience the inability to reason and to focus. It is incredible how these drugs change you. You can have a seizure and die if you suddenly stop taking them. That is severe central nervous system damage. You were not like that before you started taking these drugs. So don't be shy to use that terminology. And then the last thing that I just want to encourage everybody to do, that I tell everybody to do who asks me questions on my channel, is go to the support groups. Especially as you're tapering, if you have to be in charge of tapering yourself, there are going to be a lot of questions that come up. There's going to be a lot of just little things that you need help with as new symptoms pop up. And these support groups, I'm going to give you the links to, these are going to be your lifeline. The other thing that I want to say before you start tapering or before you do anything else, and you've read the ASHI manual and you know what that's talking about, is don't get on any other medications. If you choose to get on medications later on, that is your choice. But I want you to be completely informed about the implications of doing that. And most doctors are going to say, oh, well, we'll just help you with your anxiety by prescribing you this antidepressant or this anti-epileptic or whatever, and oh, that's going to help with all these symptoms. But for a large percentage of people who've been adversely affected by benzodiazepines, those drugs are not only not going to help you, they're going to make things worse. And then what's going to happen is the thing that I hear from people over and over again is, now I have these drugs that I have to taper. Now they've caused even more damage, and now I got to deal with that. So before you consider taking any other medications recommended by your doctor, read the ASHI manual, read the information on benzoinfo.com. Make sure you know what you're getting into before you make that decision, and then go from there. All right, everybody. I wish you the best. I wish you good luck. Feel free to ask me any questions down below. And yeah.